Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Leah. Tonight I want to talk to you about vulnerability and how it fosters trust and respect. Now, for a lot of people, vulnerability they immediately associate with weakness, particularly if you were raised to think that talking about feelings isn't something you do, emotions isn't something we go into, and God forbid I admit that I got something wrong, or that I cry, or that I make a mistake. Now, most people these days do have an awareness, at least a logical understanding, a rational understanding, that vulnerability is actually not weakness. In fact, it takes incredible courage and strength. But it's still a real challenge for a lot of people, to whether it's in a workplace, getting up and saying, hey, this is affecting me too, or maybe I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, or I don't have all the answers for you, but also in that home environment too. And tonight's question came in from a client who asked me about being more vulnerable with his wife. Now, my coaching sessions often cross over to home and work life, and this is a really interesting one. This man is in quite a high pressure job. He's still going to work, and he said to me, one of the things I struggle with is expressing to my wife how I'm feeling when I get home from work, and what I really need that night, whether it's I've had a really bad day and I just need a bit of time on my own. I struggle to express that, and she asks me how I am, I just reply with fine, and then I go quiet, and that prompts her to say, is anything wrong, have I done anything? And they end up in often a bickering argument. And he said, I realise that a big part of the contribution to these arguments is me not being able to be vulnerable and share with her how I feel. Now, again, this is not uncommon at all, but it's so incredibly sad that for a lot of people, men and women, the people we struggle to share ourselves with the most are the people closest to us. It's easier for them to open up to me as the mentor or coach than it is to the person that they share their life with. Now, of course, if you've been raised to think vulnerability is a weakness and you've always bottled up your feelings, you're not suddenly just going to be, boom, hey, here I am, let me share it all with you. And that's not what I spoke about with this guy. But what I did challenge him to do was every day on his way home to start trying to name the key emotion that he was feeling or had felt that day. Now, for him, this was a big step because, it was just either I'm fine or I'm angry. And that was kind of it, just those couple of basic emotions. And, we went through a list of all these different emotions that you can have, whether it's overwhelmed, exhausted, and of course that's not an emotion, but it's a feeling, really thinking about how he was feeling as he was driving home. So that was the first challenge. And the cool thing about that was we associated it with the car trip, so he was more likely to do this self-reflection every day. His second challenge, when he gets home and his wife asks him how he is, instead of just saying fine, I said to him, you don't have to get into a big story about it. You don't have to, pour your heart out if you're not ready to do that. But even just yeah, I'm okay, but it was a bit of a challenging day today. I got pretty overwhelmed at times. Or I felt, it was a bit of a struggle today. I think I'm just going to need some quiet time tonight. I think if I'm quiet, that's what's going on. It was a bit of a challenging day. Now, if he shares this with his wife, without going into detail, but just even a snippet, you know what? This is how it was today. I said the beautiful thing there of just opening up that little bit is then she understands that if you're a bit quiet, that's what's going on. And she's not putting her own story to that and filling the vacuum in the lack of communication with her own story about what's happening. So, if you're one of these people who struggle to talk about feelings and emotions, to make yourself vulnerable, I want you to try this too. Even if you just start with not saying anything to anyone, but just trying to name what emotion you are feeling. Are you in pain? So you're cranky because you're in pain. Did you not get enough sleep last night? You have to start with that acknowledgement to allow yourself to open up. I hope this has been helpful. If you have a communication or soft skill question you would like answered, please send it through and I will do my best to address it next week. Have a great week, everyone. And if you would like the most cracking, education on vulnerability and how it is a great strength, if you have Netflix, get onto Brene Brown's The Call to Courage documentary. Watch it with your partner, ideally. It is absolute crackerjack content there. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe and stay sane.